comparing our chicken tractors. We're about 3 years into doing this, and this was our first type. We modeled after Joel Salatin's. We ended up doing an 8x10 instead of his 10x12. We're not scaling to his caliber, so the smaller ones do just fine. If you're gonna scale, you probably want to go with the bigger one. You move more birds at the same time. So 8x10, you can fit about 50 birds. If you go by Joel's math, about 1.6 square foot per bird. We hinge this, like Joel, this lid's just come off. Got it propped so we can got our feeder hanging so we can fill it. We ended up having to go with a bigger water. The 5-gallon bucket, 50 birds would run out of water. In our climate, we're pretty much a desert, less than 9 inches a year, and it gets pretty hot. They're running out of water in an 8-hour day. Oh yeah, turkey all puffing up.
You better close the lid.
It's kind of fun.
Until you have to chase them. Or Ace does.
But still, we hung the, if I want to get a picture of that, we hung the water like that. That works really well. Just make sure it doesn't hit the grass or it'll empty out the water bucket. But did our internal bracing. And then the biggest trouble we had was moving, obviously, like most people with chicken tractors. Joel's doesn't put the wheels on the side. He has a cart in the back and just drags it. Our terrain was pretty rough. We had big, huge clumps of grass. The edges would get stuck on. Even after mowing, they were too high. And to be honest, I'm not much of a welder, so welding up Joel's cart was not something I was up to doing. So we opted for these little wheels on the side on our first one. We just put a pin, they rotate down, it goes down on the ground. When they get to this size, we just leave them up like this. We don't have any problem with predators getting underneath. They're not big enough to go underneath to get out. So we just leave them up so we don't have to move them. With that, adding these, it was really hard on the crate. The corners aren't strong enough to hold this, especially when you got 20 gallons of water sitting on it. It gets really heavy. So the corners tend to fall apart. And so we had to go to 2.0. See, you're okay. This is our second, or next generation 2 chicken tractor. Three. Yeah, we had those, the big tall ones, which we'll show you later. Didn't work for us in our place. So yeah, basically stayed with the same dimensions. I went with a plastic and then painted it so they still have shade.
Why? Cuts down on the weight?
Cuts down on weight. Yeah, that one's pretty heavy. You're supposed to use aluminum, but we don't have aluminum in our area, and aluminum's really expensive. So I started with the metal. It's really pretty heavy. Went to the plastic, just spray painted it, used silver so it reflects some heat. Kept it open enough, kept one end closed so that they stay out of the wind in the shoulder months. But then on the corners, beefed up the corners so that I can mount the axle, mount the pivot point onto the tractor, and it's tends to be holding up pretty well. Even on the corner with the water bucket. We're about 3-4 weeks in with this model, and it seems to be working pretty good. I do make these, I hang these on a chain so that you can raise and lower this according to what the grass height is. And if you're lowering it down off the wheels, you can adjust for that. And same with the feeder. I hang it on a chain with a chain coupling or link there that we can adjust the elevation for that so that it doesn't tip over. The other major difference we've done on this one is we added a second door on the other side and made them kitty corner from each other, so that when it comes to that one bad day for the chicken, we can get in there and reach the corners and not be laying on our bellies in the grass trying to reach the chickens
In the
at
poop?
far end. Yeah. And yeah, so far that seems to be pretty good. We can reach back there with a net or a piece of a board or something, and two people can easily catch the birds. Liking this a lot better so far. It's a little bit lighter, moves a bit easier. Used a little less wood, a little less bracing. With only the 8x10, we didn't need as much bracing. Yeah, liking it so far. We might get a second one to replace that one. All right, so this was actually our second chicken tractor we tried. With the high hoop, we really liked the idea of being able to get in there and catch chickens or whatever we need to do their water, do their food. We really like this version, but as you can see from the pictures, it did not work for us. We have way too bad a wind. If you're in an area that doesn't have as much wind, they'd be great. It's really simple to build. The box, some bracing, loop it with a couple of cattle panels, throw a tarp over it. Really simple. You can build it probably, I don't know, 2/3 of the time of one of those other ones. Yeah, we put a little corner nook for a hung the water in there. Got a brace across there. Actually worked really well for the turkeys because it gives them a little more headroom. Gives them a place to roost at night. There's a brace across the middle, which they really appreciate. Yeah, I was able to keep the predators out and keep the turkeys in. Worked really good for them, except it blew away.